So you are hopeful there will be an impartial inquiry so that you can pin responsibility?
I'm not giving anybody any certificate like that. My point is, I don't believe, Paranjoy, in media trials. So I don't believe that we should say A is wrong or B is wrong. I would think that the best way to do this is for the CBI or whatever, some institution.
Or the Controller or Auditor General.
Do so transparently. Do it in a manner, in a time-bound manner, and say, okay, in 6 months' time, we will place in front of Parliament or in front of the people of India, this is our assessment of what went wrong.
The problem, Mr. Chandrasekhar, is that behind these institutions and organizations, individuals are there, and these individuals matter. Now, I'll tell you, whenever this matter has come up, whenever Mr. Raja has been criticized by the Bharatiya Janata Party, by the left, the standard reaction has been from Mr. Karunanidhi that Mr. Raja is being attacked because he's a Dalit. Mr. Raja himself is saying, no, I followed the rules, I followed the precedents, I've done this to break a cartel, I've done this in the interest of the consumer. So, the whole matter has become highly politicized. We know that there were leaks of telephone conversations that have happened, apparently all supposed to be all aimed at showing how lobbyists are at work to influence political appointments.
That's the point I made, Paranjoy. I am not prepared today to believe or to make a statement that Mr. Raja, the current telecom minister, is responsible for this. I completely don't buy that. I am not a believer in that treatise that has been trotted out. I believe there has been a longer process that has led to this dysfunction, that people have exploited the loophole that has been created. So that is my position. Second, I believe that what we need to do today is to get to the root of it in a quiet and professional manner without bringing in politics into it. And I actually wrote to the Prime Minister and said, this is a crime. Let us treat it as a crime. Don't make this of politics. Don't make this a debating issue in Parliament. I mean, if...
No, I'll read out what you yourself wrote to the Prime Minister on the 11th of May. You said the swindled money must be recovered from the beneficiaries of the swindle. The significant monetary gains that have accrued to these few corporations must be recovered either through additional fees or levies or taxes. And an investigation launched to identify all the culprits and the process of how the law was,
So that's exactly the point. I'm consistent with that. I don't buy this argument that it is one person who is now currently the flavor of the month, Mr. Raja, and that he's responsible for it. I think he has a role in it, but this is a bigger
systemic problem.
There is no systemic problem. There are many more players who are responsible for allowing this to happen, and we have to put the spotlight on them as well. Number one. Number two, I have said that we have to recover this money. If the government is sincere about acknowledging that this is wrong and this is a wrong that has been done, then the money must be recovered. And there are many ways of doing it. There is a windfall tax method. If these companies who've got a 1500 crore license are selling that company off for 8,000 crores tomorrow, there is a very easy way of bringing a windfall tax.
Okay. You've also argued, and this is the last point, is that it's about time the government should stop making regulators, which are supposed to be independent, appointing retired bureaucrats. And your view is that many retired bureaucrats don't really have the will, or they affirm their independence in a manner that sort of arouses or that results in the public at large being confident or in their credibility, their impartiality, etc., etc. And to quote you, you said it's akin to a police or a judge being party or a silent observer to a crime. So this, according to you, is the big systemic problem.
No, I believe that the institution of independent regulator has failed, because we now refer to them as regulators. We don't, in our lexicon, the word independent, which is attached to independent regulator, has disappeared. So we now have regulators. Regulators, more and more retired bureaucrats who, and I have nothing against retired bureaucrats, there are very fine retired bureaucrats, but if you automatically make retired bureaucrats the choice for all independent regulatory organizations, you are essentially creating one bureaucracy and an additional layer of bureaucracy. If we are to become a government that is more efficient, a country that's going to be more efficient, what we clearly don't need is two layers of bureaucracy. We need one layer of bureaucracy and an independent regulator that basically keeps everybody honest and walking a straight path. Unfortunately, in that we have failed.
And what would be the final message You've been writing continuously. I don't know how many letters you've written from 2007.
And I've raised this in Parliament many times.
Over and over again. But very little seems to be happening. What would you like now to happen?
I think this must get out of the political domain into a completely right and wrong domain. It has to become an issue
of criminal investigation.
A wrong. It is a wrong. It must be investigated on what caused the wrong, who caused the wrong, what are the consequences of the wrong. People who did the wrong must be punished, and the loss to the nation must be recovered. This is very simple. We don't need to make this very complicated.
All right, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, thank you so much for coming here to the studio and giving us your views. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, member of the Rajya Sabha, discussing this whole issue of pricing of telecommunications spectrum. He's of the view that if indeed there's been a huge loss to the country, then those responsible for causing this loss to the exchequer, their activities, their actions need to be thoroughly investigated, and they should be punished, and the government should make every effort to recover these losses from those who have benefited from the manner in which spectrum was priced. Thank you very much for being with us on this program.